Thursday, December 19th, 2019. The time is 6:30 p.m. The regular meeting of the Greensburg Redevelopment Commission is called to order. At this time, if everybody would please silence your electronic devices. And if everybody would stand, we'll begin our meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Jody, would you conduct roll call, please?
Yes. David Weigel?
Present.
Adam Winsel?
Present.
Ken Dornick?
Present.
Karen Covington?
Present.
Steve Dreiklinger?
Present.
Jody Kaufman? Present.
First item of business, we would like to swear in Steve Dorflinger. So, Mr. Dept, if you would do that, please.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Steve Dorflinger,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the ordinances of the City of Greensburg,
and the ordinances of the City of Greensburg,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform my duties as a member of the Redevelopment Commission,
as a member
perform my duties
for my duties as a member of the Redevelopment Commission
according to the law
according to the law,
and to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. I should have told you all the three words.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for helping us, Steve. Next item, approved minutes of the November 21st, 2019 regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I have one spelling error.
One spelling error. Other than that correction, if there's no other corrections, they stand approved as presented. First item under new business, update of project status for Veterans Way Phase 2. Mr. May, do you have a report for us?
No, I'm doing this totally extemporaneously. Veterans Way likely had some real progress today. David and I spent the day in a meeting discussing the last parcel needed for the project, and after a pretty good length of time, we have arrived at a proposed settlement on that property. The amount of the settlement is $1,250,000. So one of the things that will be asked of you this evening is to approve that amount. Also, there is an existing appropriation in Fund 803 for this current budget year in the amount of $727,000 and some change. So I recommend to you that you approve a claim this evening for $727,000, and then the balance of $523, maybe, whatever the balance is, will be paid next January, because that will put us into our new budget.
Next month.
Yes, this coming January, next month, which will be in the 2020 budget year, and we will have enough appropriation there at that time to finish making that payment. So hopefully by the end of January of 2020, we will have secured the property, and we will be able to conclude all of the documentation for the July wedding, and we should be secure in getting our project let in July of 2020. There remains a slim chance that NDOT will have unspent money this year, and they're on a July 1 to June 30 year. So by this year, there's a slim chance they'll have money in March, April, May, June that they think they can't get spent, and they sometimes look for projects because they want to use the money. So maybe we could get April. Really seems pretty unrealistic because of the lead time necessary to get them on letting. They tend not to like to do lettings in May, but occasionally they would. So there's a slim chance, but I wouldn't offer any credence to it. So we're probably over the hump, and we just need to take care of making these payments, and I think everything will be in order. David, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve this settlement. Thank you, Darren. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions? Any discussion?
Yeah, why can't we just pay with bond and get it all done in one shot?
We don't have an appropriation in that amount, so we'd have to go back to council to get additional appropriation. It takes 2 readings of council, so it's gonna be easier just to wait and pay the rest of it in January. The rest of the finalization won't come together until next year anyway, so it's not gonna delay anything.
Those terms are spelled out in the settlement agreement.
Any other questions? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. While we're on that, I'd entertain a motion to pay this $727,000 now.
Motion to pay.
I'm sorry, you said motion made?
Motion to pay. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Jody. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Any discussion about that?
That's out of the bond, right? Out of 803, correct? 803. Yeah. 803.
Yes.
Yes.
And the payment will be in that amount, and then we're optimistic we'll get 80% reimbursement. It'll take a few months.
Hold on a second. Do we have that in 803? This says $1.
There's actually
Flip the
7,
page.
I'm told there's 727. If you recall, Darren, council approved an additional appropriation September, maybe October, somewhere in there.
I'm just looking at the sheet that was printed off for us. It said $1, that's all.
Right. I don't know why that's not up to date.
That's all the question
Yeah, there's a little thing.
80% of total, correct?
I think.
80% of the set, okay.
And it's gonna take a couple of months for us to see that problem.
We have to make the payment, we have to get the canceled check back, we have to make application to the state. It takes them however long it takes them, so probably 4 to 6 months even.
Okay.
We got those other ones back pretty quickly.
I'm going back and looking at some of the submittals. Recently, they've been getting them turned in about 2 months, but it's also the slow part of the year, so I can't promise you.
And we're a month out from even applying for the rebate, for the reimbursement, so.
Right.
Any other questions about the payment? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, update planning services for project list.
Last month, you all selected American Structure Point to work with you to prepare a plan for the Redevelopment Commission. Friday, a week ago, 10 days ago?
Monday, December 9th.
Monday, December the 9th, Jody and David and I sat down with representatives from Structure Point, and we talked about what a scope of services should look like. And one of the things that we talked about in that meeting was the need somewhere in this process to look at your project list. It's been three and a half years since this was last looked at. You have checked 3 or 4 items off of that list since then. So a part of this planning process would be, could be, should be, to revisit that. Perhaps a part of the planning process will likely be public involvement. So after the public involvement phase, we see not only what you all think you should be looking at, but what the public thinks you should be looking at. That ought to be a part of it. The other thing that was discussed a little bit in that meeting was the fact that you all will sunset in 36. 16 years from now. So the question is, should you be looking at expanding your, forget the term, allocation area? Is that the term?
Yeah.
Should you be looking at expanding your allocation area? What is your vision of the redevelopment commission going forward? Does it need to be perpetuated? So that's another thing that maybe gets into this. We left that initial meeting saying that we all need to kind of reflect on what we talked about. We should get back together in January after the holidays and start to go a little tighter on a scope. Is that kind of where we are? So we're moving forward. It's going to take a little bit. We want to get a good scope together. We need to figure out how much service we need from them in terms of looking at expansion areas, looking at remaking your list, anything like that we do or don't want to be in there. There's some things to think about right now. I'm kind of offering this as food for thought, and we'll figure this out shortly, get them going with their thing. We talked a little bit in that meeting also about the next level trails through DNR that really kind of started this whole discussion. They offered their opinion, which is simply their opinion, that that money would likely be towards fall next year. Because we expressed our interest in this planning process would help us get in a position to apply for that money. And so
They did express a little concern with that though, being that we needed like a master plan or something from the Parks Department, which we don't know if they actually have, right?
yeah, let's save that discussion for our next topic on your agenda here. Or maybe the couple down, I'm not sure.
Nope, you're right, next one.
Is it the next one? Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things. I don't know that the City County Parks Department has a master plan.
Yeah.
I simply don't know. I mean, they might, but they might not. So, I'm not overly optimistic. But we're making some headway, and we'll keep pushing that forward and see where we can get.
Well, while he's there, you want to talk about item 3, Indiana Department of Preparation of community-wide bicycle and pedestrian master plan?
Yes. I'd like to be authoritative in this discussion, but since I was out of the office all day today, I made a really good executive decision when this topic came up. I went and talked to Brian Robbins and asked for his assistance, and he took it over. So good for me. I didn't do a tremendous amount. I am reasonably confident that the application was submitted today, asking for those funds, even without the Parks Department having a master plan. If we should receive this funding and get a bicycle and pedestrian master plan for the city prepared, it maybe would serve the same function. And it's been my thought that because you are the sponsors for preparing this master plan, it might make some sense if American Structure Point were to prepare this plan, I believe them to be qualified to do that, and just kind of package it in with the rest of the planning work they would be doing. The grant, if we should receive it, would be for up to $10,000, of which we would have to match 50-50 or more, depending on what the cost of such a plan might be. My first reaction is $20,000 for a plan doesn't seem like a tremendous amount of money, so I would think probably it'll be less than 50-50 when we're done. But we haven't talked fees with them yet. So that process seems to be moving forward.
Good.
Brian said he's sorry he couldn't be here today. Conflict of meetings. He serves on the hospital board. Their meetings.
And he was very gracious. He did it virtually all of it. I did not intend to do that. I intended to ask because he's good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I intended that we would work together. He just took all of it and went with it. So I'm very appreciative.
about updated Indiana Department of Transportation notice of funding availability regarding Michigan Avenue.
On Friday, the 13th of December, Mark submitted an application to NDOT for funding for the reconstruction of North Michigan Avenue from Ireland Street to State Road 3. We received word, I think yesterday, that we have been invited to make an oral presentation on Monday, January the 13th at 12:20 p.m. in Seymour as to the project and why we think it's worthy of their funding. I anticipate at the moment that Mark and I will attend. I hope the mayor would attend. I would encourage any and all of you that have the opportunity to attend to come along. The more the merrier. What the large attendance can do is show support for the effort. I have continued varying emotions about this, about our opportunity for success, but I firmly believe that even if we don't get funded through the project, that we will have an excellent opportunity to open the discussion with them about the need to do something with Michigan Avenue. And that in itself, we did this 3 years ago maybe on Main Street, and we got denied the funding. But right after that, NDOT came forth with the project to work on that, and we're optimistic that we'll get the new sidewalks and the curb and gutter that we wanted, maybe some street lights and that sort of thing on Main Street. So even if all we get is a conversation, it's an accomplishment.
Any idea when we'll hear anything on that? February, March?
Most likely it'll be March.
30 to 45 days
It's usually
after
about 60 days after,
presentations.
Okay.
and I don't know where we're at as far as our district, as to whether we're some of the first or we're gonna be some of the last as far as the presentations being made.
Six NDOT districts around the state, and they will not be all that same day because people in the central office participate.
It'll be at least 2 weeks by the time we get through the 6 districts.
Maybe 3, because they often do like 2 districts a week.
And you didn't propose that in 2 phases, you did just one, right?
We only done
proposed
Michigan
one
Avenue.
project for one phase, the Michigan Avenue component from Ireland to 3 is one project.
That's it, okay.
And my thinking was, if we get that accomplished, then as the next phase, we work on Ireland Street.
Yeah.
That's how we voted.
But
That's how we voted last time.
just wanna make sure it's up there.
Yeah.
I can't hear you well.
I know, sorry, I'll yell louder.
Thank you.
Any other questions for that?
So again, I encourage anybody that can make it to tag along and tell NDOT how important this is for us. Just a quick highlight of my thoughts on the presentation is that we share with NDOT what we did with Lincoln Street, a former state highway, not terribly unlike that stretch of Michigan, and what it looks like today and the value that brought us. And I think I'd like to sell that image is why this is important. There's direct parallels, I think, in those 2 projects.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for.
Next item, approval of claims, Phase 2 project claims. We have 3 claims, one from Landman Beatty, the attorneys who are helping us with getting the last parcel, $17,741.80. We have a bill from Hamilton Chevy Law Office of $945. And a bill from American Structure Point for $491.62. I did not add up those numbers, but we have sufficient, we have $344,215, so it shouldn't be any problem for us to pay that. there a motion to pay those bills?
So moved.
Thank you, Ken. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Evan. Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. One other thing, we have our bond payment, which will be due January 15th, and the principal amount for that is $245,000. And that'll be due January 15th. Our next meeting will be January 16th. Our next regular meeting will be January 16th, the day after. So what I'm looking for a motion to approve payment of that. I don't know the exact dollar amount. In July, it was $271,622.75, but that was with a principal of $235,000, and this month it's $245,000. This time, excuse me, it's going to be $245,000. So that would probably be $285,000. We'll have to pay in January as our semi-annual payment on the bond. So I'd entertain a motion to.
Do we need to wait? Do we have anything else outstanding? Do we have anything outstanding that we need to, that would put us well beyond zero? Do we have anything else coming outstanding that put us beyond zero?
What's not well, our financial report we received is through the month of November. I don't know, but usually by now, in December, we'll receive our property tax draw,
Right.
which would be around $500,000, but I have not heard.
Yeah, I thought it usually comes up next week.
Sometime in December typically, so it'll be $285,000.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bond, come January.
Thank you, Darren. Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Looks like that's all of our bills, all the items on our agenda. Our next meeting will be Thursday, January 16th, in a great year of 2020. There's nothing else to come before the board. We'll stand adjourned. 5 till 7.
Good job.
Nice.